What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Health Unscripted with Dr. D. I am Dr. Ashley Dwyer, owner and CEO of The Big Day Nutrition, and I'm super pumped to talk about this topic today. So today we're going to talk about, under eating, how that affects your body, why this could be one of the reasons that your weight loss has stalled or plateaued. I want to, give a little disclaimer that I had notes organized and written for this, and then I accidentally deleted them on my computer. So if I'm a little squirrel brained, I'm sorry, but that's why you love me, is because it's also entertaining and educational. So I'm going to try and keep this one within 20 minutes per usual, but if it does go a little over because there's just so much information, I apologize. So, why I wanted to talk about this today, and I think it's it's becoming very mainstream, I will say, and it's becoming very common, especially to me when I'm on these calls with all of these prospective clients, but it's not becoming a main topic of education in Gen Pop is what we call it, like the general population, even within healthcare. And so I'll explain that in a little bit when I jump into like doctors' recommendations and nutritionist recommendations. But so one of the reasons that you are likely stalled or could be stalled, this only applies to a subset of population, but it is usually 90% of our female clients. So women, listen up. All right, all of our lives, we've been conditioned to undereat and overtrain, right? Just undereat, control your portion sizes, you're eating too much, calories in versus calories out. This is how you lose weight, just lower your calories. It all sounds great. There is a place for calories in versus calories out. SICO, I think I've gone over this on other podcasts before, but where do we draw the line at how low is too low? And what do our bodies actually need to function? I think that's what people forget is like, oh yeah, we can cut our calories, but like, what is it doing to the rest of our body? And that's never taught. That's never talked about. Obviously, it does depend on the person, your height, your weight, your age, and your activity level. And I will jump into TDEE as well and go over that. But I just looked at the computer as I'm recording and it was 222. I've been seeing so many repeating numbers lately and I'm just taking them as signs from the universe. So yeah, I'm really into that. I have 1111 on my wrist because that's definitely my number. But regardless, never mind. Moving back into topic. It's never talked about what the consequences of our body is. And the reason why these are becoming so prevalent now is because we're experiencing side effects of it, and or we're never getting out of that deficit. We just stay eating that amount of food forever. It's like our new mainstream. Like if you were to download MyFitnessPal right now and you were to punch in your numbers and get a weight loss plan based on MyFitnessPal, the generic plan that it spits out is like 1,200 to 1,300 calories per person, 50% carbs, 20% protein, and 30% fat. A, that is definitely not how I would split up your macros. And B, that's too freaking low. And then it'll give you if you eat this way for this amount of time, you should lose weight in this many weeks. And it's like, all right, MyFitnessPal, can it? We know that's not happening. So let's say you do cut your calories. Let's say you do eat at this 12 to 1,300 calories for a significant amount of time and you start seeing results. You're like, yep, this is awesome. I'm controlling my portions. I'm getting this amount of food in. First of all, this is even if you're tracking, right? Most people aren't even tracking. And then you realize when you do list out what you're eating, it's either way under calories because you're eating clean and clean foods aren't very calorically dense, or you're way over calories and that's your problem to begin with. But that's another episode. So for this, we're going to focus on those who are under eating. So you type that in, you follow it, you see your results, and then it starts to, get slower. You start, instead of losing 2 pounds per week, you might lose a pound or maybe half a pound. Then maybe you don't lose any at all. Then it just completely halts and you're done. You're not losing anything. You've bumped up the cardio. Maybe that worked for another week and then it stalls again. So what do? You're already at 1,200 calories. Do we cut lower? Do we go to 1,000? Let's say we go to 1,000. That might work for another 2 to 3 weeks and then you plateau again. And then you're like, well, what do I do? I'm already not eating. I'm already starving. I'm already hating life. I have no energy. I'm irritable. I missed my period last month. What do I do? So you go back up to that 1,200 and you're still feeling like shit. So what is happening in the body? Why are we feeling this way? Why isn't it working? Because calories in versus calories out, it should be working, right? Here we go. So when we're talking about weight loss and our total daily, energy expenditure, our TDEE, what's happening is metabolic adaptation. So our body is super freaking smart. It's super smart. It has gotten us, millions of years of civilization. I don't know history that well, so don't mark me on these words, but obviously it's very prone to evolution and letting us survive. Okay. Metabolic adaptation is basically a collection of responses that our body uses as a survival mechanism. And when we have weight loss efforts, which is essentially famine to our body, doesn't matter if we're dieting, it doesn't know dieting. Like, our body's not super high tech. It's just like, oh, we're getting in less food. This is famine, must conserve. Okay. That's what we're going through right now. So when we're talking about total daily energy expenditure, there are 4 components. And I've talked about this on my macro workshops before. I've talked about this online, but we're going to review it here. So the biggest component is BMR, or basal metabolic rate. This is the number of calories that our bodies need to perform basic sustainable functions while resting. So our calorie burn at rest, doing absolutely nothing. It's around 70% of our TDEE. So everything that we burn each day, BMR is about 70%. Then we go into our thermic effect of food, which is the amount of energy that our body burns while digesting and absorbing food. This is around 10%. NEAT is the next biggest component. I should have gone in order. Sorry, I'm not re-recording, so we'll do it for this. But NEAT is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So steps, fidgeting, like what our bodies burn while doing daily movement that isn't exercise, that isn't sports. This is around 15 to 20%. And then our EAT is exercise activity thermogenesis, is the energy used during exercise, obviously. So this is around another 10% of our body. So I realize that is over 100%, but it's going to be different for everybody. So sometimes exercise can be 5%, sometimes it can be 10%. If you're an athlete, it can be 15%. So it just depends on how much you're training and how much non-exercise activity thermogenesis you're getting in. So you take all these components together, and what usually happens is most people are like, I want to focus on weight loss, so I'm going to start exercising more. And as I just noted, exercise is only 5 to 10% of your total daily energy burn. So you're really barking up the wrong tree. You should really be focused on your BMR and getting that as primed as possible. If you raise that number and it's 70%, you're in a better spot. And the way that you raise BMR is you get out of dieting phases so your BMR can heal, and you also put on lean muscle mass because lean muscle needs more energy to run and to function. So TDEE is what we use to calculate macros, what we kind of estimate a person's maintenance calories to be, their range to be, what their deficit to be, what their bulking calories to be. But what happens when you're in a deficit and when you're in a prolonged deficit, the body is literally in conservation mode, must conserve, right? That's my little caveman wannabe voice. So what happens is our BMR starts to decrease because you weigh less. You lose weight, you weigh less. It's going to decrease. We're also going to be conserving energy, so your BMR will decrease. Your thermic effect of food will also decrease because you're eating less. You're probably eating 300 to 500 calories less than you usually do, so that's obviously going to decrease. Your NEAT is going to decrease because your body, again, is going to be conserving energy. You won't be fidgeting as much. You won't want to walk around and do your steps as much. Your EAT, or your exercise calories, are going to decrease because you also weigh less. So you're not going to be putting out the output that you usually do. So all of these things will decrease, which then makes your TDEE decrease. And over time, your body just adapts to this new level of normal. And so obviously that's not a good thing because we want to be burning as many calories as possible and have our body functioning as good as it can, right? So how do we minimize these adaptations? Oh, hold that thought. We're going to go further into the endocrine system. So now that I've mentioned how your calories decrease and how all of that works, now we're going to talk about what it does to your endocrine system. So if you're not familiar, your endocrine system is basically what runs your hormones, your metabolism, all the good stuff, your thyroid, your sex hormones, your insulin, your cortisol, all of that. So in a nutshell, during weight loss, when you've been in a deficit for a long period of time, all of these hormones most of these hormones tend to decrease. So for example, your cortisol and your ghrelin will increase. So cortisol is going to be your stress hormone. You don't want that to increase, but it will. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. That's going to increase because obviously you're starving yourself. You're hungry. The things that decrease are going to be your leptin, which is your satiety hormone, which is not good. Your insulin, which is also not good. Testosterone is going to decrease, and thyroid hormones are going to decrease. Thyroid is the main contributor to your metabolism. T4 conversion to T3. When you have hypothyroid, you are low on T3, your conversion's low, or you're just not absorbing as much thyroid hormone as you can. You have an underactive metabolism, underactive thyroid when you have thyroid issues. When you have hyperthyroid, you have an overactive metabolism. This is more rare, but this would result in weight loss instead of weight gain. So when we're in a deficit for a very long time, we have the decrease in TDEE, but we also have the decrease in our thyroid. We have the decrease in our satiety hormones and in our testosterone, which obviously men you really want. We have the decrease in our insulin, which means that our sensitivity is going to suck. Okay. We're not really doing what we should with carbs and things like that. And so when we're in a deficit for a very long time, this starts to show up on blood work, especially if you're in it again for a very long time. This is what happened to me. So you'll start to see that your thyroid levels come back low or your TSH comes back high. That would be hypothyroid. This is categorized as either regular hypothyroid, you might have Hashimoto's. This is also subclinical hypothyroidism where only your T3 is low. You'll start to see this. You'll see insulin overshooting. You will see sex hormones at a low, perimenopausal level. Cortisol will be very high. And this is all due to restriction. There are also other contributing factors of stress, like too much exercise, stressful work environment, not enough sleep and recovery. For the purpose of this podcast, we're just talking about how the amount of calories you're eating could be contributing to this. So when we're getting out of this, so how do we correct all of these things? What do we do? And how do we know how much we're supposed to be eating? So dieting phases are only supposed to last 12 to 16 weeks at most. And then come out of that diet phase, give your body a break, shift into maintenance, eat more calories, and let your BMR come back up, let your hormones heal, let your thyroid come back to normal. By the way, it is totally normal that your thyroid your T3 does decrease a little when you're in a deficit and when you weigh less. There will be fluctuations in hormone levels, but to have a sustained fluctuation, this is where you have that one pending lab level and then your doctor throws you on medication without knowing your dieting history. So this is where it's really important when we start working with clients to get a full dieting history because, we have them do a log before we even start working with them. I do jump into questions on phone consultations of okay, how long have you been eating this amount of calories? How long have you, given yourself a break in the past? Have you ever given yourself a break in the past? How long have you been working out this hard? Because based on your diet history is then what we're doing is in my brain, I'm okay, metabolism could be here. TDEE could actually be here based on the calculation of what it should be. So all these things are going on in my brain. I feel like the Zach Galifianakis in what's that movie with the counting cards, 21 or whatever, where he's blackjack and he's just got all these things around his head. That's what I feel like when I'm having these client conversations is because I'm okay, this goes here, this goes here. And that's what we're really trying to figure out is where your metabolism is at right now and what we need to do in order to get it back to being healthy. Of course, we want you to get your results. We want to help you with your results, but ultimately, if your metabolism won't let us help you with your results, we're going to need to heal it first, which then will tack on a couple more months onto your plan. So obviously, by not crash dieting, you can limit this. So by losing weight sustainably over time. So if you're trying to lose 10 pounds, let's try to do that, in 5 to 10 weeks and not 3 weeks. I say 5 weeks because that would be 2 pounds per week, which is considered healthier and sustainable. But most people want to lose 10 pounds in a week or two, and that's just not going to happen. in a good way. You can also give yourself diet breaks. So just mini weeks where you don't track, you go back up to maintenance. You can also have refeed days, not cheat days, but refeed days where you're eating more good foods, but just in an excess of calories so that your metabolism can kind of shift back. What we do with most of our clients, because they've been in a deficit for so long and we need that correction, is reverse dieting. So we will slowly increase calories over time to get the BMR back up, to get the body back to where it needs to be without significant weight gain. A proper reverse diet, should really be maybe 3 to 5 pounds of weight gain. It also is focused on body recomposition. So you may have weight gain with inches lost. You may just have weight gain. You may actually have weight loss because you're finally feeding your body what it needs and it's getting the fuel to do its job. You're getting in more micronutrients, which you were depriving yourself of having before. So when you're eating really low calorie, you're cutting out like fats, which are needed for fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. You're cutting out certain fruits and vegetables because, oh my God, no, sugar, I can't have fruit. And there's so many good antioxidants and minerals and vitamins in fruit. You're also cutting out, just doing all the sugar-free stuff. You're probably eating a lot more chemicals than you think you're eating too, because all of the low fat, low sugar, no sugar products are filled with artificial crap that can, further gut dysfunction, make you feel even worse, give you brain, like literal mood disorders. So keep an eye on that. But so bottom line, under eating could be the issue you're not losing, or the reason you're not losing weight, because your metabolism has adapted, your thyroid has downregulated, not to an alarming rate, doesn't happen to everybody, but these are could be, should be things. And the way to get out of that is to eat at a healthier caloric deficit. When we put someone in a cut in our programs, we give them the highest amount of calories that they can survive off of and cut with before we drop it anymore, if we drop it anymore. So that's the goal, is to eat as much as possible while still losing, not just automatically slam yourself into an 800 calorie deficit. It's just not going to work. It's not going to happen. Actually, I had a former classmate of mine from pharmacy school, what is that called? A colleague, a peer, reach out, and she has never done a program. She's just been watching on the sidelines. And it was really, really awesome to receive her message, because she has been in a weight loss journey for a very long time. She had a child, and she said she's been struggling with the baby weight after, and she went to a gym and they had her do a body scan, and it was telling her, she should be eating 1,700 calories minimum for a deficit. Like, this is what a trainer and this scan told her, and she was only eating 1,300. She's like, I had no idea. And so I started eating more, and I'm losing. She's lost 16 pounds since March, which is incredible. It's June. It hasn't even been 3 months, and she's down 16 pounds. And so I, first off, wanted to give a shout out to her trainer, because I was like, people don't really, you don't hear this talk most often. You hear, oh, you're not losing weight on 1,300. You're doing it wrong. You're eating too much. You're sneaking in treats. You are, not tracking correctly. You're lying. And so it sucks to hear that, and to hear people come to me and tell me these stories. And I'm like, no, that's probably I believe you're being honest. It's just, here's what's really happening in your body. And some people don't understand that. The science behind all of this is it can be really tricky, but educating yourself and being an advocate for that, and finding coaches who are advocates for this, is where the gap is going to be bridged. So I'll do another episode on functional health coaching. I know I briefly mentioned it on the Big Day Nutrition page, but I think it really needs to be shared, in where we bridge that gap between medicine and regular coaching and training. But so it was really awesome to just hear her success with eating more, and that is the goal. That is what we want for most of our clients, and it just warms my heart. It makes me feel so happy when she's like, and I get to eat all the things because I have so many carbs. And I'm like, yes, carbs are not the devil. We want you to eat the food. The reason I say, when clients come from doctors, and I've made posts on this before, if you're familiar with my IG page, is one client came and said, my doctor wants me to get rid of all carbs and cut down to like 1,000 calories a day. And I was like, absolutely not. No, nope. Sorry, we're not doing this. Like, what is your doctor's email? Because I will write them. It's just not safe. Like, not only that, this client in particular needed blood sugar regulation. And when you're cutting out all carbs, you're cutting out fiber. And fiber is super important. That was my last podcast episode. Go listen to it. You need fiber. We can't cut that out. And so when doctors and things like that aren't trained appropriately in this area, I have nothing against doctors. I'm a doctor of pharmacy. I worked in healthcare, most of my adult life so far. And I respect it, obviously, but I do know a place where we aren't skilled in, and I can speak on it unless they've done specific training, which most haven't. So it's always just cut calories, go to 1,200, go to 1,300, but then they never tell you how to get out of that deficit. They just tell you need to do this. So this is one area that I see is very, 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 very common in our prospective clients and the clients that we actually work with, is not eating enough to fuel our bodies. And I use, 1,200 to 1,400 as the range that I speak about, but a lot of times women are eating even less. It's in the 800 to 900 range. And so I just want to get this awareness out there. I just want it to be more well known that starving yourself is not the way to weight loss. And if you do need help reversing, getting out of that plateau, increasing your BMR and getting back on a healthy path, please reach out. I would love to chat with you. Instagram me on Dr. Dwyer, at dr.dwyer on Instagram. You can email us at info@thebigdaynutrition.com. You can visit our website at thebigdaynutrition.com. Just any avenue, please reach out, talk to all of us and any of the coaches, and we will gladly, give you education and a plan, maybe get you even on one of our plans to get to a better area. So I know I told you it'd be under 20 minutes and I'm nearing 22, so I'm going to shut this off real quick. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. Tag me if you're listening to this, screenshot it and send it up on Instagram and tag me, and I will repost and say what's up. All right, guys, have a good one. Thank you so much.